So welcome back to Oxbridge Edge. We're here today to talk about super-curricular reading. The key moment of opportunity, the golden window if you like, is the summer holiday as you move from year 12 to year 13. Prior to the holiday, you had too many deadlines, too much going on at college, coursework, mock exams. After we get back to college in September, the pressure will be enormous. So what do we need to do here and now? What do we need to gather together? Well, I've got two quick tips for you. One is to take guidance from a mentor as to which books and chapters you should read. And the other tip, to gain you some space in the autumn term that's coming, would be to read ahead in your A-level specification. I remember doing this myself when I was transitioning from year 12 to 13 many moons ago. On the day year 12 finished, I went to a bookshop and I bought a guide to A-level biology, and I spent most of the next week reading the year 13 spec. And I was very grateful that I did that, because in the autumn term I pivoted away from chemistry, biology and physics A-level to apply to Oxford for PPE, politics, philosophy and economics. And I needed plenty of time to do additional supercurricular reading for my target subjects. So having done this work in the summer, I freed up space for the road ahead. Oxford is a very beautiful place with fabulous libraries. We will give you some of the skills that will enable you to get the best out of those facilities once you arrive. Supercurricular reading is absolutely critical. If you try to rely just on your specification material, just on the PowerPoints that your teachers have shown to you, and just on the textbooks that have been provided, you will be expected. You might even be monotonous. That will not give you a chance to shine in interview. This is a very competitive environment. Supercurricular reading enables you to alight on materials that no one else has access to. It enables you to carve out a reading trajectory which is your own. As one book opens another, and as the mentors from Oxbridge Edge guide you to the next point and the next point, we will be conscious of how deployable your summer reading material will be in late November and early December. We're your bird's eye view as you move across the terrain towards the higher ground of the Dreaming Spires. We will be course correcting whenever we feel a course correction is necessary. It's not dominance, it's a process of negotiation, but the synthesis, where you want to go with your reading, where we think you should go, and then the fusion of the two, that will produce optimality, and that will get the offer at interview. You need really an index of deployability. You could set off and read a 900-page book, but if the 900-page book contains material that's very difficult to précis and to make more concise, then your ability to get value for hours might not be optimized. At Oxbridge Edge, because we have decades of reading experience at a high level behind us, we're able to recommend individual chapters from individual books, and we're able to juxtapose chapters so that you get more creative illumination. I'll give an example. We often do a tutorial where we give 2 essays about Friedrich Nietzsche to the students to read. One essay comes from Bertrand Russell's History of Western Philosophy, written in 1945, and the other comes from Professor A.C. Grayling's book, The History of Philosophy, written in 2017. And I particularly like juxtaposing these two because Russell, writing in 45, is Germanophobic. A lot of his friends have tragically died in the war, and he's feeling bitter towards all things German, and that comes to include Nietzsche. I mean, one of Nietzsche's great misfortunes is that his name sounds a little bit like Nazi, and his legacy has been damaged by that phonological coincidence. But Russell does a lot of damage to Nietzsche in this essay. Grayling, writing in a more journalistic, entertaining fashion, tells stories about Nietzsche. A lot of students are taken with the story. Nietzsche says, when you go to see a woman, take your whip. But it turns out that it's witnessing a horse being whipped in the street that pushes Nietzsche into his final nervous breakdown. What a strange set of priorities. A whip causes him to see the suffering of a horse, plunges him into a breakdown, but when he thinks about women, he thinks whips might be useful. Clearly not politically correct modernist. But if you met his mother and his sister, you might come to understand, if not agree with, his views in this area. Supercurricular reading requires sacrifice. You may work for 30 to 40 hours a week reading throughout the summer holiday. But let me take a more precise example. Let's say we wanted to work with one theme. I often work with my classics and archaeology applicants to look at the Rosetta Stone. The Rosetta Stone is a very important artifact because it has the same message written upon it in 3 languages. I encourage my students to get a general awareness of the Rosetta Stone. So in week 1 of their reading, I might set Christian Jacques' book on Francois Champollion. Christian Jacques is a professor of archaeology, but he's also a novelist. And his book is beautifully emotionally constructed. It's Christian Jacques on his deathbed. It's Champollion on his deathbed, talking to his 8-year-old daughter about his expeditions in Egypt and his relationship with hieroglyphs. And at the end of the book, the reader comes away thinking and feeling this is an important man from history, dying in his late 30s, but having bequeathed to the world an understanding of those incredible symbols on the walls of pyramids in Egypt. In the second week, we might move in a more cryptographic direction, and I might set the book Code Breakers by Simon Singh, and we might look at the mechanics by which people decode and break and decipher. And then in the third week, we might move on to look at Thomas Young and the interesting relationship between the English polymath Young and the French polyglot Champollion. And gradually, over 3-4 weeks, the group of students will be presenting to one another. So you'll rotate from presenter to interviewer and to listener and to scribe, and the layering process, the iterative depth will arise. You'll end up with an island of knowledge around Champollion, cryptography and the Rosetta Stone, which will be pleasantly received at interview. You'll make a striking impression, and the dons will find you to be equipped with a skill set that's uncommon for people of your age. That's what Oxbridge Edge can do for you. So if you want to find out more about our process and polish and perfection, please contact us through the website. Using your summer optimally, making the sacrifice of 30 to 40 hours a week for a 7 or 8 week period will set you up for exactly the kind of study skills that you will need at Oxford itself or at Cambridge itself. It will also provide you with the capacity to take on professional examinations after you graduate. Whether you want to be a lawyer or a surgeon, whether you want to be a city trader or a politician, the work ethic that you will develop hand-holding with Oxbridge Edge will take you as far as you need to go. It's not something that is gifted to you that will just last for the period of application. It's something that will carry you all through your life in a process of continuous upward transformation.